Okay, so we're absolutely swimming in information, right? Every single day, every hour, we're just bombarded with messages trying to convince us of something. But how do you sort through it all? How do you tell what's real from what's designed to mess with your head? Well, that's exactly what we're going to get into today. We're going to break down what propaganda actually is. So here's the game plan. We're going to kick things off with the big, scary thing on everyone's mind right now, the AI disinformation storm. From there, we'll nail down a really clear definition of propaganda. Then, we'll dive into the fascinating, kind of scary psychology of how it actually hacks your brain. After that, we're opening up the propagandist's playbook so you can spot the tricks. And finally, we'll talk about the single best antidote we have: education. You've probably heard the buzz, with huge elections happening all over the world, and this explosion in AI. A lot of people were bracing for, well, an information apocalypse. The real fear was that AI could unleash an atomic bomb of fake content, completely upending elections and maybe even democracy itself. But here's what's so interesting. The 2024 Munich Security Report took a hard look at this and found that, well, while AI is definitely being used, it hasn't been the world-ending weapon people feared. Their words, not mine, the dreaded atomic bomb of AI disinformation has not yet detonated. So, we've dodged the bullet, for now. And that brings up a really important question, doesn't it? Is this whole AI thing some brand new monster we've never seen before? Or is it just a new high-tech costume on a tactic that's, believe it or not, thousands of years old? Let's peel back that mask and find out. To really get what's going on today, we have to get our definition straight. I mean, the word propaganda gets thrown around constantly, right? Usually it's just an insult for something you don't like, but it has a very real, very specific meaning. Okay, so at its heart, propaganda is the systematic spreading of information to shape what the public thinks. And notice, it can use anything: facts, lies, rumors, you name it. The word itself is pretty cool. It comes from the Latin propagare, which means to spread or grow something, just like a farmer planting seeds. And that's the perfect metaphor. The goal is to plant an idea in your head and make it grow. And this practice is ancient. I mean, we're talking about Persian kings carving their heroic version of history onto giant cliffs more than 2,500 years ago. Fast forward to 1622, the Pope literally created an office for propagating the faith. And then you get to World War I, and you see governments using brand new tech, like posters and film, to get everyone on board with the war. The technology is always changing, but the core goal never does: shape what people believe to hold on to power. So you might be thinking, wait, isn't that just like advertising or PR? It's a great question, but there are key differences. It really comes down to purpose and its relationship with the truth. See, advertising is trying to sell you a product. PR is trying to build trust in a brand or a person. But propaganda? It's selling an idea, sometimes an entire worldview. And here's the most important part. Propaganda is totally indifferent to the truth. Its only goal is to win you over, and it will use whatever works to do it.
So why is it so effective? How does it work so well on us? Well, it's not magic. It's psychology. Propaganda works because it isn't trying to have a logical, rational argument with you. No, it's designed to sneak past your rational brain and tap directly into the predictable little glitches in how we all think. These glitches are what scientists call cognitive biases. Think of them as mental shortcuts your brain uses to process the insane amount of information it gets every day. They're usually super helpful, but propagandists know exactly how to turn these shortcuts into vulnerabilities. It's almost like they're engineering a belief inside your mind.
All right, first up, the big one: confirmation bias. This is super simple. We humans just love to be right. We actively look for information that confirms what we already think, and we tend to ignore or even get angry at information that challenges us. So a smart propagandist doesn't have to sell you on a totally new idea. They just have to feed you a more extreme, more emotional version of what you already want to hear. Next, there's the illusory truth effect. This is fascinating. Our brains are basically wired to think that if something sounds familiar, it must be true. It's a simple processing shortcut. So if you hear a lie over and over and over again on TV, on social media, from talking heads, your brain starts to mistake that familiarity for fact. It just feels true. It shows how repetition can literally create a new reality for people. Propaganda also weaponizes our feelings through what's called emotional contagion. Just think about what goes viral online. Is it ever the calm, balanced, nuanced take on an issue? Rarely. It's the stuff that makes you furious or terrified or just plain outraged. Those emotions are incredibly contagious, and online, they're the rocket fuel that makes disinformation spread like wildfire. And finally, there's a sneaky one called source confusion. Let's be honest, our memories are perfect. We might remember some shocking fact we heard, but a few weeks later, we have no memory that we saw it on some sketchy website or from a random account on Twitter. The information gets laundered inside our own heads, and the lie becomes just another fact we know. Okay, so we've got the psychology down. Now let's get practical. Let's open up the playbook and look at the actual techniques they use. Because once you can name these tricks, you take away their power. It's the first step to disarming them completely. First off, experts have a kind of color code for propaganda. White propaganda is the most straightforward. You know who it's from, and the information is generally true. Gray propaganda gets a lot murkier. The source is hidden, and the facts are often twisted. And then you have black propaganda. This is the really nasty stuff. It's built on outright lies and is designed to look like it came from someone else, usually an enemy, to completely destroy their reputation. And to spread their messages, they use a standard toolkit. There's name-calling, which just bypasses any real argument by slapping a negative label on someone. There's glittering generalities, using these big, beautiful words like freedom and patriotism that feel great but are totally vague. Transfer links an idea to something you already respect, like a flag, hoping the respect rubs off. The plain folks appeal makes a powerful politician look like your average Joe. The bandwagon effect makes you feel like you're being left out if you don't agree. And of course, fear appeals, which crank up a threat to make you panic and stop thinking clearly. I promise, once you learn these, you'll start seeing them everywhere. So after all that, the psychology, the sneaky rhetorical tricks, you might be feeling a little hopeless. How can we possibly defend ourselves against all this? Well, the answer isn't what you might think. It's not about censorship or trying to block information. It's something way, way more powerful. The absolute best defense is understanding the huge difference between propaganda and real education. See, propaganda is all about telling you what to think. It hands you the answers. But education, real education, teaches you how to think. It gives you the tools to find the answers for yourself. Propaganda is a one-way street pushing one side of a story. Education explores all the sides, even the messy, controversial ones. And that leads us to the most important point of all. The ultimate antidote to manipulation isn't having someone else protect you from bad information. It's about you building up your own mental immune system. It's about developing your critical thinking skills, staying curious, and maybe hardest of all, being willing to question your own beliefs. It's about learning how to analyze, not just absorb. So I'll leave you with this question to think about. In this massive, swirling ocean of information we all live in, with people constantly trying to hijack your brain's shortcuts, are you going to be the navigator, steering your own ship? Or are you just going to be a passenger, letting others decide where you end up?